issue of King versus Jetstar Airways, a case from 2012 that ignited a national conversation on disability rights and access to essential services in Australia. Sheila King, who uses a wheelchair, initiated this legal battle after Jetstar limited her ability to book a flight by enforcing a policy restricting flights to a maximum of 2 passengers needing wheelchair access. King believed this policy was arbitrary and discriminatory, as it infringed on her right to access services on equal basis. She argued that it contravened the Disability Discrimination Act from 1992 and filed a lawsuit to challenge Jetstar, hoping to uphold the principle of justice, particularly equality and fairness in access. Jetstar countered King's claim by arguing that the policy was a safety measure. They maintained that having more than 2 passengers with mobility restrictions could complicate emergency procedures and passenger safety, especially in an urgent evacuation situation. The airline suggested that these restrictions were in place to protect the rights of all passengers to a safe flight experience, balancing the operational capacity and safety obligations. The court ultimately agreed with Jetstar, ruling that the policy was not unlawful discrimination because the airline had offered King an alternative flight on the same route. Consequently, King was ordered to pay $20,000 in court costs. While Sheila King's case was unsuccessful, the federal court decision exposed gaps in the law and raised critical questions about the extent to which companies are required to accommodate people with disabilities. Advocates, including Red Fern Legal Center, argues that this case highlighted an imbalance in the principle of justices, particularly access and fairness. They pointed out while Jetstar had technically complied with the law, the decision to fully address the barriers faced by individuals with disabilities, many left that the ruling illustrated the need for clearer legislative protection to ensure that the business respect and accommodate disability rights without imposing arbitrary limits. Despite losing her case, King's efforts underscored the importance of access to justice, showing how individuals can challenge large corporations in court to assert their rights. Her case also underscored the difficulties that individuals with disabilities can encounter when pursuing legal recourse, especially given the high costs associated with litigation. Advocacy groups called for reforms to reduce these barriers, ensuring that all Australians, regardless of their physical abilities, have fair access to public and private services. On this anniversary, we reflect on how King vs. Jetstar serves as a reminder that the principle of justice is equality, access, and fairness should be integral to all areas of public life. Though the court upheld Jetstar's policy, the case brought renewed focus to disability rights, with calls for amending anti-discrimination laws to prevent similar restrictions in the future. Sheila King's challenge may not have changed the policy directly, but it has raised public awareness and inspired ongoing advocacy for inclusive access to essential services. Thank you for joining us as we revisited this landmark case. The pursuit of a disability right continues with each step bringing Australia closer to a fairer and more inclusive society. Stay tuned for more updates.